Centerville City Council members making two big decisions tonight.
The city of Centerville making those decisions, one about whether or not to allow Dora in Uptown, the other about limiting where short-term rentals can be within the city. Jenna Lee Bork is live now from outside city's chambers tonight. So Jenna Lee, what was the city council's decision on both of those things?
Well, Elise, both were approved unanimously by city council members. There was no public comment about short-term rentals, but people did speak about the Dora. Some business owners voicing concerns about property damage, trash, and safety.
People have dumped their ashtrays in my parking lot, vomited all over it, driven through my formal gardens, beaten my trees with a bat, trashed the property with everything that could be thrown out the back of the vehicle, and slammed into my garage 3 separate times.
A designated outdoor refreshment area will be coming to Uptown Centerville with the City Council's unanimous approval. This comes as part of the Uptown Action Plan, adopted by the city in 2019 to enhance the area and make it more vibrant, according to the city's Economic Development Administrator.
Creating a designated outdoor refreshment area, or a DORA, seemed like a very good public policy that would help improve our restaurants, do more sales, but also help with our retailers as well. So kind of those two types of business to work well together.
Customers will now be able to purchase alcoholic drinks in special DORA cups from restaurants that have liquor licenses and walk around in the designated DORA area uptown. DORA will begin sometime in the early summer, possibly in June. It will be from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. One business owner who provides kids' music lessons voiced some concerns.
We're a little concerned about this DORA because of security and because of litter control, and also because of just the general perception of downtown Centerville.
The City Council will have the ability to stop DORA during holidays and special events. It'll also have the power to vote for necessary changes through a public hearing process if things aren't working out. Mayor Brooks Compton saying before the vote that he feels confident in the flexibility to change DORA if needed.
I feel very good about it, and I do feel very strong about the fact that if it is not handled properly by the city, that we'll be back here again, and I feel confident we'll be hearing from a number of you if you're running into any problems, and we would hope to hear from you if you see any problems.
There was one business owner who spoke who voiced his support for DORA in Uptown. As for short-term rentals, they'll only be allowed in the Architectural Preservation District, which is near Uptown. They will not be allowed in any other residential areas right now, but for owners who still own operate these short-term rentals in residential areas, they'll still be able to do so for 1 year as a transitional period. Back to you.
Jenna Lee, thank you. Vandalia Butler City Schools suing the city of Vandalia tonight, arguing decades of tax funding was withheld. Now, the district is suing the city due to, quote, breaches of revenue sharing related to tax abated properties over the last 30 years. The lawsuit says that Ohio Revised Code terms state the city of Vandalia is required to give the district a portion of tax revenue, so they're suing to hold the city accountable and get that funding to help support district operations. Now, school board president Holly Herbst says in part, quote, we regret legal action has become necessary, but after several failed attempts to solve the matter amicably, we have no other choice. Vandalia Mayor Richard Herbst went on to say, quote, at the advice of our city attorney, since my wife is the president of the school board, and to avoid any appearance of impropriety, I will not be participating in any council discussions or decisions regarding the lawsuit filed today by the Vandalia Butler District School District.
We now know tonight the 75 North ramp to I-70 West is back open after a crash involving a semi this afternoon. Take a look. This is the video of that crash. That ramp was shut down after the semi's trailer flipped on its side. Troopers say no one was hurt, thankfully. They are trying to figure out, though, the cause of the crash tonight.
We also know the name of the person who was killed after being hit on I-75 last night. Officials saying 19-year-old David Sikowski of Michigan was walking across the interstate when two vehicles hit him. Now, he was killed. The two drivers were not injured. The Ohio State Highway Patrol is now investigating.
We do know tonight 4 people are recovering now after a crash and they were hurt on this crash in Wilmington Pike and East David Road in Kettering. It happened just after 7 o'clock. We're told 2 of those injuries are serious. Those 2 people were taken to the hospital.
Witnesses report that one of the vehicles ran a red light and caused the crash.
Now, as you can see in the video, alcohol bottles were collected at the scene. However, Kettering police are not confirming if that is connected. Portions of Wilmington Pike and Bigger Road were shut down for several hours for accident reconstruction.
Now, this man here behind bars tonight accused of shooting and killing a teen earlier this month. Police say 36-year-old Isaiah Wood fired over 40 rounds at 2 people he says were breaking into his car. One of those bullets hit 18-year-old LaRod DeLong in the back of the head, killing him as he was running away. Wood is facing murder and felonious assault charges. He's set to be arraigned on Thursday.
Tonight, a man indicted in connection to the hit-and-run death of a 14-year-old girl in Riverside from more than a year ago. Jared Koger is now facing a charge of failure to stop after an accident. Riverside police confirm he's connected to Brianna McCarthy's death from back in December of 2023. She was walking along the road in Woodman Drive and Burkhart Road. She died after being hit days later. Koger, though, is not in custody at this time.
We are continuing to follow that tragedy out of Clark County. Investigators say an Uber driver killed by 81-year-old William Brock after he thought she was part of a scam. Now, it turns out, according to investigators, she had no idea of that scam. Instead, she was just a pawn. Tonight, we are asking legal experts about the case and what it means for Brock and the scammers. It is just after 11:15 in the morning on March 25th. Clark County investigators say 61-year-old Lolitha Hall, an Uber driver, arrived at the home of 81-year-old William Brock to pick up a package. What happened minutes later is difficult to watch. The sheriff's office says earlier that morning, Brock had gotten a scam phone call about a relative in jail, which then turned into threats and the caller demanding money. So when Hall showed up, investigators say Brock assumed she was part of the scam. He showed a gun, demanding she tell him who the scammers are. But Hall was completely unaware of the scam. Help! 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 Investigators say Hall was unarmed, made no threats, and no demands other than asking about the package. Brock shot Hall multiple times before calling 911. Hall later died at the hospital. Brock is now charged with murder and other charges.
You're not dealing with someone coming into your home with the obvious intent of doing some harm, right? So you don't treat it the same way. That person would have come in legally to begin with, but then it turned into something different.
Dr. Mark Clausen at Cedarville University says that's why in this case, the Castle Doctrine wouldn't apply. He also says the scammers could find themselves facing similar charges to Brock.
Well, the scammer could be charged with other crimes. It depends on what they would find associated with this conspiracy. The murder would be the obvious one. That's the big one. But there are other associated crimes that are often charged with these they're lesser offenses, but they still add to the time in prison.
While Clark County Sheriff deputies continue to investigate, Uber releasing a statement saying, quote, "This is a horrific tragedy and our hearts continue to be with Lolitha's loved ones as they grieve. We have been in contact with law enforcement and remain committed to supporting their investigation." Brock is due back in court next Monday.
Well, back here at home and for weather, really, it has been absolutely gorgeous the past few days. And I hear we still have at least one more.
Yeah, tomorrow's still going to be nice. We do have some thunderstorms in the forecast, but not a washout of a day. Plenty of sun still around. And temperature-wise, still pretty pleasant. It's been really nice these past couple of days, and it's still pretty pleasant. Hanging out in the 60s and 50s. We got 55 off Canada, same thing Urbana at 55, 64 in Dayton, 62 in Eaton. So it is a mild evening, but we'll continue to fall into those lower 50s. So having the windows cracked open this evening may feel pretty pleasant to allow some of that fresh air in. We do have a system now just to our south. We have a frontal boundary, but notice active weather and tornado watch through parts of Oklahoma, Nebraska, and into Kansas. We have this system that will eventually arrive in the Miami Valley by our Wednesday time frame, increasing our thunderstorm chances, potentially some on the stronger side. As far as that school day forecast, though, tomorrow could see a few thunderstorms by the afternoon, but otherwise warm with highs close to 80.
The Dayton Food Bank will be getting more than $10,000 in new funding as part of a $400,000 settlement with Family Dollar over price inaccuracies. Now, that money will help bring more than 40,000 meals to local residents. This is now the second time this year the food bank has benefited from legal action. In January, they received more than $22,000 from the state's $1 million settlement with Dollar General.
Well, it's now been over a month since that deadly tornado outbreak hit the state of Ohio, and tonight, Governor Mike DeWine announcing $5 million in new funding for tornado relief in Logan and Auglaize counties. The money comes from the state disaster relief program and will help local governments and nonprofits in those impacted areas. Jury selection for former President Trump's hush money case is underway. How the first day of that historic trial ended next.
Plus, I'm tracking warm weather continuing on, but also thunderstorms on the way. I'll time it out for you coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The first day of former President Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial has ended tonight with no jurors selected. Today, a group of 96 jurors started answering questions. However, already more than half were dismissed, saying they can't be fair and impartial in the case. This now leaves just 34 remaining to still be questioned. The former president briefly spoke to reporters after leaving the courtroom.
It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt.
Trump is the first former president in U.S. history to go on trial for criminal charges. This is just the first of 4 cases to go on trial, but it could be the only one to do so before Election Day.
Well, it was a beautiful one today, but our next weather maker will bring some rain and storms back into the area. Even as early as tomorrow, we'll see some showers, few thunderstorms, but it's by Wednesday. Once we get this cold front to arrive, we will see the potential for some stronger to severe storms across the Miami Valley. Even as early as tomorrow, we could see some stronger storms too. We have a level 1 threat for much of the region as we get a warm front to begin to lift its way in. Damaging wind gusts would be the primary concern with anything tomorrow. It's a low risk, but you'll still want to wait to receive some weather alerts during the day tomorrow. A little bit more concerned about Wednesday. We have a level 2 threat for severe storms. It's a conditional risk on what happens earlier into the day because we will see some rain and some storms for our Wednesday morning. But given that we have some clearing, potentially a line of storms making its way in, bringing us the threat for some damaging wind gusts, some large hail, and a low wind tornado risk. So we're going to be watching Wednesday very closely.
Israel is vowing to respond to Iran's attack over the weekend. It comes as world leaders urge the nation not to retaliate. On Saturday, Iran launched hundreds of drones and missiles. Israel's military chief says 99% of the drones and missiles Iran launched were intercepted. The U.S. says it's proud of its role in helping defend Israel.
What we demonstrated over the weekend is that our commitment to Israel's defense is clear and it is ironclad, and we back that up not just with words and with action. And we will continue to make that clear while at the same time ensuring that everyone knows that we are committed to de-escalation in the region, and that's the policy we're trying to pursue.
It's the first direct military assault by Iran on Israel, despite decades of hostility. The UK, France, and the U.S. all have issued messages to further avoid escalation. Now, a professor from Cedarville University says global leaders have been working to prevent additional conflict since the start of the Israel-Hamas war.
Since October the 7th, 2023, when Hamas very brazenly and illegally attacked Israel, there's a real sentiment to stop something wider from occurring. So a lot of U.S. and other Western officials are really trying to apply pressure to Israel to stop a retaliatory strike.
Israel's president says they are not seeking war with Iran, but the nation still vows to exact a price from Iran for the attack.
Tonight, dozens of people are behind bars after multiple pro-Palestinian protests across the country. You can see here protesters in San Francisco stopped traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge, causing an hours-long closure. A similar protest in Chicago blocked access to O'Hare Airport for hours after demonstrators sat in the street. In New York, protesters walked across the Brooklyn Bridge waving Palestinian flags, calling for a ceasefire.
New updates tonight in the Baltimore Bridge collapse. In just the last couple of hours, authorities confirming the body of a 4th victim was recovered. Now, this comes shortly after the FBI and U.S. Coast Guard announced a criminal investigation into the ship responsible for the collapse. That killed 6 construction workers back on March 26th. According to a U.S. official, the agency's looking into whether the crew of that cargo ship failed to report an earlier issue that delayed its departure.
Taking a live look tonight from our Beaver Creek area and our Eco Plumber Skycam. Let's send things straight out to Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters.
Well, beautiful, quiet evening across the area, but we have some active weather on the way. Tonight, we'll see some clouds begin to build their way in, lows dropping into the 50s. Tomorrow, though, I do think we could very well see 80 degrees tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a warm day with some sunshine, but we also have the potential for a few storms. This is not indicating much activity, but we very well could see a few storms firing up by tomorrow afternoon and evening. But by tomorrow night, more widespread rain begins to build its way in. We'll see showers, some thunderstorms, especially to start off our day on Wednesday, but we'll clear out a little bit by our Wednesday afternoon, which will potentially bring a line of storms by late into the day on Wednesday, bringing the risk for some stronger storms Wednesday afternoon and into our evening. Notice by Thursday, turning a little cooler, but still in the 60s and even some 70s possible by our Thursday too. I'll have a look at our 7-day coming up in a bit.
A local rooftop restaurant hosted a charity dinner tonight. Hear about the nonprofit and why they were chosen to after the break.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. The Foundry hosting a charity dinner tonight as part of their Foundry Forward campaign. That's a charity dinner series where a local nonprofit organization gets 20% of that evening's proceeds. Tonight, Rebuilding Together Dayton was chosen for their vision to provide home rehabilitation for low-income homeowners in our area.
Having Rebuilding Together Dayton as a program in our community, we're keeping seniors in their homes so they can age in place and stabilizing neighborhoods at the same time.
Now, the Foundry Initiative gives members of the Dayton community the chance to enjoy flavorful food and learn about different nonprofits on the third Monday of each month. The restaurant sits on the rooftop of the AC Hotel Dayton. Well, the Dayton Dragons, they are back home for their first full week of games at Day Air Ballpark. Matt Digby with a look back at their week in Cedar Rapids, plus in addition to UD men's basketball's team.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.